Alright, here it is. Sketchbook Summer 2017 flip through. I'm doing it live today. Started on July 1st, 2017 and ended today, which is July 29th. Actually ended a little bit earlier. And I'll tell you right now, most of this is gesture studies. 220 pages finished. So yeah, we're gonna kind of go through quick. This was an illustration I actually did for a cover, a EP cover, and here's some thumbnailing I did beforehand. And this was some thumbnailing I started for something else, but ended up doing something different, sort of. More gesture studies. So basically what I wanted to talk about was kind of what I learned and everything from doing, this whole challenge. And it started by Brandon Dayton, by the way, and his friend. I'm sorry, I'm always blanking on the name for his friend. But yeah. So I tried a lot of different techniques, even with the figure drawing. And yeah, basically, I did a lot of different things, but most of it is figure drawing and gesture studies. What I realized is, for 220 pages, I did kind of map it out and realized I had to do about 7 to 8 pages a day if I wanted to finish 220 pages. It's a 110 page book, but I wanted to do both sides so that, doubles the page count. Plus I kind of did the front cover and back cover, so it's really 222. Yeah, I had to do 7 to 8 pages a day, and there were some days that I only did like 4 or 5, but most days I got to 7 to 8, and some days I got, to more. And I would have been comfortably finishing on the 31st, or on the 30th, I mean, because that's the last day, I think. Or no, it's the 31st, because today's the 29th. My arm's starting to get tired. Yeah, I would have finished, but I freaked out and thought that yesterday, the 28th, Friday, was the last day. So I was like, crap, I have more, I must have fell behind because I have more pages to do than I thought. So I had like, an extra 20 pages. I don't know, I can't remember, something like that. But I didn't realize I was, screwed. I wasn't thinking right about the dates. See, there's me studying anatomy. It's like the first time I ever like truly went into that. So that's gonna continue now after this. But one thing I noticed is I was doing these pages so fast, and I did learn a lot, I think, and I did get a lot of drawings out and got a lot of mileage, which is good. That's something you need to do as an artist. One of the few more finished pieces I did. There were times where, because I'm really focused on trying to learn the fundamentals better, because my whole life I never really focused on that stuff, although I practiced it from time to time. Here's some Proco assignments. But I didn't have enough time a lot of times. I had to get through my pages that day, so, yeah, I'm doing figure studies. But, sorry. But, I wanted to go more in depth, like with the anatomy page part, and like, I wanted to study hands, and I need to really study environments proportions and perspective, and when I'm too worried about getting my page count done, I'm kind of losing track of that a little bit. So what I realized is if I'm going to do a sketchbook a month, they need to be smaller sketchbooks. Or what I'm going to do is just have a certain amount of time that I work on fundamentals every day. Probably somewhere around a half an hour. And then that way I can, spend some time on just one page or whatever, or 2 or 3 pages, and not worry about the page count so much, and really get down to the gritty learning of fundamentals. Figure out how to get those head proportions and body proportions, and put characters into perspective, and put characters in scenes, and create, environments and things like that. So I really want to focus on that more, and also figuring out my style, figuring out how to go from drawing more realism type things to cartoony stuff. I want to have like a good cartoony style as well. And one thing I learned a lot though. One thing I learned is that anatomy is great to learn and important, because it's good to have knowledge. Basically, that's the point of anatomy, is having knowledge that can translate to figuring out things from your head eventually. And also, even when you're drawing representationally, you'll know what it is you're trying to draw, what muscles and how they're working and things like this. I really like, even though these are really quick gestures, I really like how the parallel pen works, which is what I used for these. Another thing I learned was that I always realized, though, that a lot of my problems that I thought was anatomy, this is something I realized before doing this sketchbook, but I thought it was anatomy, is actually proportion. That's a big part of, what the real problem is. I guess I cheated here because one of the local kids kind of finished this page up for me. It happens. But so proportion is a big part of it. I definitely lose track of proportion because I get too much into detail sometimes. And then the other thing that is just as interesting, that, again, people always say, anatomy, I gotta learn anatomy, I suck at anatomy. It's probably more that they suck at proportion, or they need to get better at proportion. And also another thing that is just as important that I didn't even realize this until, like last year, that the characters that you draw need to be in perspective, and everything needs to be in perspective. At least with perspective in mind. And I realized that a lot of the problems I'm having, thinking, oh, why does this suck? Why am I not figuring this out? It's because I don't have a great grasp on perspective, or I haven't planned the perspective out correctly, and things would just be better if I learned that. So that's a big part of what I'm going to be learning too. And so I want to spend more time learning that stuff. And you can see I'm working on perspective here. I started already, but again, I didn't have the time to really push into it because I had to make sure I got my pages out. So, not a complaint against the challenge. The challenge got me drawing more than I ever drew. Here, these are like some of the best drawings in there because they're copies of Scotty Young. So, that's another thing, is learning by copy. But yeah, I kind of got busy, and you know, I just didn't sketch so much. So this challenge really helped me get back into the groove of sketching every day. My goal is comics. I want to make comics and stuff like that, which I have been doing. But there'll be more that I have to say about that very soon. But yeah, I did like the last 4 pages of the sketchbook. I kind of did a live stream, but I did it unlisted. But you can see it if you want on my Patreon. It's free for everybody to see publicly. You don't have to be subscribed or anything. So I'll put a link right below in the description if you want to check out my last 4 pages of Sketchbook Summer, and just my thoughts, on that. And yeah, and if you're interested in helping support me move forward and get better at all this and have more time for it and all that stuff, definitely please consider pledging on my Patreon. I'd really appreciate that. But most of all, I just thank you for watching this. I thank you for checking out my sketchbook, and and all those who worked on the hashtag Sketchbook Summer with me, and Brandon Dayton and everybody else. Just thanks for checking out my stuff, and I hope you guys did well. I hope, even if you didn't finish your sketchbook, I hope you learned some good stuff. I think that's really the point of it, is you tried, you learned something from it, and I think that's what I'm taking away from it. Even though I finished, I would feel good that I learned something from it as well. So and I would just say, keep filling up those sketchbooks, keep working on the fundamentals. Very important. If you're wondering why your art isn't that great, it's because you probably haven't focused on the fundamentals. And once you get into it, working on that stuff is very fun. And my one piece of advice to you, because to me it's oh, work on the fundamentals is so boring, blah blah blah. Well, the thing that I hope will encourage you is work on the fundamentals every day. Set a time, 15 minutes on the fundamentals, 5 minutes on the fundamentals, half an hour on the fundamentals, whatever it is you feel like you can do. But also have projects, like a project, whether it's a big project you're working on every day, a personal project. Even if you're an illustrator, it's important to always work on the fundamentals every day, and always spend some time on a personal project every day, because that's what helps motivate you to continue going. And that's where you can make the most progress. A lot of people make more progress in their career by doing personal projects and showing it to people. So those are the 2 things that I've finally at middle age as a middle-aged dude have found and figured out, and that's what I'm going to be doing from now till the rest of my life. Because it's my passion to do this art stuff. And yeah, I'm excited. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it was encouraging and helpful. And yeah, have a great day, have a great weekend, and please subscribe, like, all that good stuff, comment. I always respond. And again, if you're interested in supporting, you can head over to Patreon. I'll talk to you on the next episode. Peace out.